be today's card. It was inspired by one of the color combinations in one of our Stampin' Up! Kit collections. Now that kit collection was so popular that it is on back order, but we can still recreate the same idea, the same color scheme with some of our other great projects. We're gonna make today's card. It's so quick and easy, and it doesn't even have any stamping. So let's get started with our fun card. Okay, so here is the supplies that we'll be using. We are going to be using the pattern tags dies, and we're going to be using the Christmas words collage, and it's a hybrid embossing folder and dies. So 2 die sets, an embossing folder, and this hybrid embossing folder is kind of cool because it's embossing folder 1, right? But it's also a die 2, and you can use them together. So you can actually kind of hold that in place, put our piece of cardstock that I've already cut to 6 by 6, because that's the size of the embossing folder, and run it through. And what it's going to do is it's actually going to emboss and die cut at the same time. So you get these beautiful fun die cuts all out of one pass through of our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So super, super fun. Let me show you today's super quick and easy card. And if you have taken a look at our kits collection, one of the fun things about one of the kits in there is that it's not necessarily traditional Christmas colors, right? It's really clean and simple with lots of white. But instead of red and green, we've got Lost Lagoon and Pretty in Pink. So it's kind of a softer version of our traditional Christmas colors, right? So 'Tis the Season is the card we're going to be making today. We may change up the sentiment just so I show you some of those fun things. And I've got a couple of techniques to share with you today. So if you love today's card, please give today's video a like, subscribe if you're not already, and share with your friends. And then if you would love all the pre-cut paper pieces, let me just share with you my freebie from me each week when I share a card and you order from my online store, $50 or more before tax and shipping, and after any rewards, you will actually get enough pre-cut paper pieces to make 3 of this week's card. So you will get all of those when you place your order this week before my next video launches next Thursday. So you have all week, all weekend, and until my next video launches. So let's get started. One more quick thing is if you would love the printable PDF, it's free from me each week. If you're part of my Buzz Bulletin, that's my email list that I send out each week just as a thank you for watching. And it is a PDF that has all of the measurements, the step-by-step instructions, a picture of this week's card, as well as all the how-tos. So if you would love that, I send that out each week. So make sure that you are subscribed, and you can subscribe to that on my blog at stampinqueenbee.com. Okay, I think that is all of the announcements. So let me move these aside and let's get started. So I have pre-cut some of these things for us. So this is thick basic white for our card base, just a simple, regular, standard card base. Then I've got a piece of Lost Lagoon that I have already pre-cut for us, just to save a little bit of time, a little bit of YouTube time, right, for us. And so we'll just go ahead and center that right on our card base. Now I've got this embossed piece. So remember I shared with you this embossing folder and how it's hybrid, so you can, it's made especially so that you can die cut and emboss at the same time, but you can also use them separately as well. So on this piece of basic white, I actually embossed this and I didn't use the die, and so I just have that beautiful embossing on this layer. So for this layer, we're also going to just go ahead and adhere this piece down, and then we will put together our focal layer. This is a really quick and simple card, but it's so, like, I just love how calming these colors are together. That was probably my favorite part of where I got this inspiration. Was I loved all the white, one of my top favorite colors for sure, and I really just loved the softness of that Lost Lagoon, and then when we pair it with Pretty in Pink. So the other die set that I used is this Pattern Tags dies. Now these will make great gift tags. You can die cut these. You could put your message on there, tie it to your package, and be beautiful. But I really love cards that have a tag on the front. And so these are really easy dies to use for that. So I did pre-die cut. So this is Pretty in Pink. So I pre-die cut that out of this. So that's kind of the backing, right? Or your base tag. So that's out of Pretty in Pink. And then I also pre-die cut for us this piece, which I really love. It sort of looks like snowflakes to me anyway. And I think it's just beautiful how it has all of that stitching all on there when you die cut that, when you run that through. So we've got those pieces. Now this piece here is going to be your very best friend if you do not love to tie bows, because it is a bow die, and so it comes, and when you die cut this one pass through the machine, you will actually get 3 pieces. You'll get the kind of base, you'll get the extra loops, and you'll get your little knot. So you'll get all 3 of those. So we'll put that together. But that's going to be your best friend if you don't love to tie bows. Let's just die cut them. How easy, right? And so I love, this is to me a must-have for your collection, these pattern tags, because you can use them for so many. So real quick, I did put together a couple of these that I wanted to share with you just so you saw how they were die cut. So this one here could be peppermint. It's kind of stripes, right? And so I did die cut that one for you to see. Of course, we have our snowflakes that we will be using today. And then there is this great kind of foliage. So kind of your pine tree, right? Your pine tree leaves. And so all of those, super beautiful. And I just wanted to have those so you could see what they might look like just as tags by themselves. These are doubled. You could triple them, or you could use them singly as well. And then here is one that's just white on white, and I purposely left some of those pieces that you would pop out when you die cut. I purposely left some of those in and didn't punch them out just to give kind of the top of that a little more feeling. So lots of options with those fun tags. Okay, so now let's put together the pieces for today's card. So I'm going to bring in my silicone mat here, and this is great when you're gluing small pieces. So I have my liquid glue here, and we're actually going to put together our bow. So we're going to need this kind of bigger looped bow. Let me zoom in a bit here. There we go. Okay, and then we'll need our kind of extra loops, and then our teeny tiny little knot. We'll need that as well. So I like to use my silicone mat for this because I don't like to get glue all over my table, and you can certainly use glue dots, mini glue dots, or maybe teeny tiny dimensional bit, but what I like to do is just use my liquid glue, take a little dot there in the center, and add those loops. They kind of look like they're upside down, but it kind of makes your bow just look that much more filled, right? And then one more little dot to put our little knot in the center, and then our bow is complete. Now what's great about our silicone mat is if you get some glue, you can let it dry, and do you see, there wasn't a lot there, but you can kind of just rub it, and all those little excess glue pieces come right off, and then your silicone mat is clean again. So really, really simple. Okay, so then that is pretty much dry, so we're ready to put this together. And so we will put together our tag here. So I have already put, hopefully you can see them, mini dimensionals just to save a little bit of time on the back here. So in kind of those more solid places. So we're just gonna go ahead and peel the backings right off of those. And we will put together kind of the basics of our tag here. Okay, I think I got all those. So how I like to do this is there is the center hole here. You could actually loop real thread or ribbon through there, but I just kind of line those up and then at an angle, put that off, kind of offset, so we see that beautiful, pretty in pink kind of right, you know, peeking through. And then with our bow here, I'm just gonna add a tiny bit of liquid glue kind of in the center there. And I'm just gonna put this right above that center hole there. And then there is our tag. Okay, so we'll let that kind of sit to the side. I'm gonna bring in a little bit of grid paper. And we're gonna bring in those beautiful words that we die cut. So that's with that hybrid embossing folder. Remember, we've got our die. We just kind of set that right in place here with those words, lines right up. Put our piece of paper, and I just cut my cardstock Lost Lagoon to 6x6 size, which is the size of the whole embossing folder. I ran that through, and when you're done, what comes out is like this. Here is my 6x6 paper, and you can see it die cut all of these right out of that when I ran that through. So now we're just going to take one of these words. So we used "'Tis the Season" on our first example. So why don't we use maybe "Holly Jolly"? That's a pretty one. Let's do "Holly Jolly." Okay, and then we're gonna bring, so the only ink we're gonna need for today's project is our white craft ink. Now you could take your embossing folder and wipe the ink all over the embossing folder and run it through and it would do the same thing, but I just don't love to clean my embossing folders full of ink, so I kind of like to do it at the end. So once you have this ran through, we can carefully take our white ink and just lightly go right over the top of it and add just a little bit of that white ink to our die cut, and you can see it just kind of accentuates that embossing. So let me grab one of the other ones so you can see it just makes the words pop a little bit with adding a little bit of that ink, right? Happy Christmas. I love that saying. Okay, so now that we have this, let's bring back in our tag here, and I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid glue just to the center because I know this is a little bit bigger of a word than our tag here. And we'll just kind of center that right on our tag. Holly Jolly. So cute. Okay, now the back of our whole focal tag here, we're just going to add a little bit more liquid glue just to that kind of solid piece. And then I am using the white part as my guide to just put this on straight, with the white part being straight kind of, and centering that right in on our card base there. And so there we have Holly Jolly. Isn't that just a beautiful card? Well, we've got to have some bling, and so I am actually using the iridescent faceted gems. These are one of my favorite gems. They're actually on the last chance list right now, but they are one of my favorites because I love iridescent, and these, especially for the winter, look like snowflakes to me. So we're actually going to put these in the center. We're going to do 5 of them. And so we're just going to put these right in the little centers of our snowflakes here. So we've got 3 on the bottom, and then we'll put these 2 kind of right above. So this really frames our holly jolly sentiment there, right? Okay, so that is today's beautiful, quick and easy card. No stamping really, right? We did use a little bit of ink, but no stamping. And I love these soft cards with soft colors with the white and the pretty in pink, the Lost Lagoon. It's just a different take on our Christmas colors, our traditional Christmas colors, right? So if you missed out on that kit that is currently on back order, I don't know when it will come back in, but if you missed out on that, you can still recreate that same design, that same look, the same simple, quick and easy cards with some of our great products as well. So I hope you enjoyed today's card. Thanks so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and sharing with your friends. And I will be back next week with another fun video. Have a great one. Bye-bye.